Have you ever wondered why some of the most powerful and intelligent people on earth, actors, scientists, athletes, are quietly turning to Islam? Not for fame, not for money, but for something far deeper, something the modern world can't give them: peace. There's a secret behind it, a truth so powerful that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Man, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You look around and suddenly you see these big names, people who have everything: wealth, fame, respect, millions of followers, access to every luxury imaginable, and yet they're searching. You can see it in their eyes when they talk about spirituality or meaning, that feeling like something's missing, and more you hear about them finding Islam. It's fascinating because it's not a trend. It's not like a social media movement or some new self-help thing. It's quiet, personal, real. What blows my mind is how consistent the pattern is. It's like when people hit the top, when they've conquered every mountain the world has to offer, they realize that it's not enough. You can win an Oscar, have millions in the bank, or break records in the UFC, but when you're alone at night, when it's just you and your thoughts, you start asking, what's the point of all this? Why am I here? And that's where Islam seems to come in for a lot of people. It's not about worshiping some distant idea or performing random rituals. It's about submission, not to another person, but to something higher, to God. That word, Islam, literally means submission, or peace through submission. It's the idea that true peace doesn't come from control. It comes from letting go of control. And that's something a lot of us in the West don't understand. We're told to control everything: our bodies, our success, our image, our future. But control has a limit. It can only take you so far before it breaks you. When you look at Islam through that lens, it's not some ancient set of rules. It's a system of grounding, discipline, perspective. It's structure in a world that's falling apart. You pray 5 times a day, not because you have to, but because it keeps you centered. Imagine that 5 times a day you stop whatever chaos you're in and realign yourself with something bigger than your ego. That's powerful, man. And that's what a lot of these celebrities talk about when they convert. You hear stories about guys like Andrew Tate. Controversial as hell, right? But listen past the noise. What he said when he accepted Islam was that he found discipline, he found peace. He said it gave him boundaries in a world with none. Or look at someone like Dwight Howard, NBA superstar. He talked about how Islam gave him clarity, humility, and gratitude. It wasn't about control or restriction. It was about finding order and peace. That resonates with me, man, because the modern world is chaos. It's constant noise. You wake up and your phone is blowing up. News, messages, opinions, arguments. Everyone's telling you how to think, how to live, what to buy, what to fear. You never get silence. You never get stillness. And what Islam teaches, from what I've seen and from the Muslims I've talked to, is how to find silence even when the world is loud. One of the things that really stuck with me when I learned about Islam is the simplicity of it. It's not about multiple gods or complicated theology. It's one God, one creator, one source. That's it. The same God of Abraham, Moses, Jesus, but with this focus on direct connection. You don't go through an institution or a priest. You go straight to the source. That's something that appeals to a lot of modern thinkers, especially people who have trust issues with systems, politicians, corporations, media, even religious institutions. Islam strips that away. It's between you and God. You pray directly. You ask forgiveness directly. You hold yourself accountable. That's empowering. It's not someone else telling you what to be. It's a daily relationship you build with the divine. And when you dig into the lifestyle aspects, fasting in Ramadan, for example, that's where the philosophy hits the physical. Fasting isn't just about skipping food. It's training your soul to control your desires. You're telling your body, you don't control me. In a world where we're addicted to everything, food, sex, money, dopamine hits from our phones, that's revolutionary. It's like a full system detox. A lot of fighters, especially in the UFC, respect that kind of discipline. Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the most dominant fighters ever, is a perfect example. The guy's composure, humility, and discipline are unmatched. He's deeply Muslim, and you can feel that peace radiating off him. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. He knows who he is. He knows why he's here. That's a different kind of strength. And I think that's what people are craving right now. We've got everything the ancient world dreamed of. Technology, medicine, comfort, but we're miserable. Depression and anxiety are through the roof. Suicide rates are climbing. People are lost, man. They don't know what to believe in anymore. So when they see a faith that survived 400 years, unchanged, practiced by over 1 billion people, with clear principles and a deep spiritual center that catches attention, you see actors, musicians, and scientists saying, wait a second, maybe this isn't about culture or geography. Maybe it's about truth. Because truth, real truth, doesn't change with trends. It doesn't evolve every 10 years. It's steady. Islam hasn't changed. It doesn't bend for convenience. And that's what makes it appealing in a time when everything else feels like quicksand. And the more I've learned, the more I see how practical it is. It's not abstract philosophy. It's daily action. You start your day with gratitude, literally thanking God that you woke up. You eat with intention. You treat your parents with respect. You give charity regularly, not as a flex, but because it purifies your wealth. It's like the entire system is designed to keep your ego in check and your heart clean. That's why you see people who convert saying they feel reborn. They're not chasing approval anymore. They're not performing for the world. They're grounded in something eternal. There's a hadith, like a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, that says, richness is not having many possessions. It's being content within yourself. That line, man, that hits. Because we're living in the most materially rich generation in history, but spiritually, we're starving. And it's not that other religions don't have wisdom. They absolutely do. But Islam's message is so unfiltered, so raw, it doesn't sugarcoat. It tells you this life is a test. That's a big one. Think about it. If you view life as a test, everything changes. Pain has meaning. Struggle has purpose. Success isn't random. It's part of the plan. That worldview gives you resilience. Because now you're not asking, why is this happening to me? You're asking, what am I supposed to learn from this? That's the kind of shift people spend years trying to achieve through therapy, meditation, psychedelics. And Islam gives it to you through faith, through prayer, through surrender. And that word, surrender, that's what people resist. But once you understand it, it's actually freedom. Because surrendering to God means you stop being enslaved by everything else, by your desires, by people's opinions, by fear. You only serve the truth. That's liberation. I think that's why you see a lot of ex-atheists and former materialists turning toward Islam, because they've realized logic alone can't fill the void. You can understand how the brain works, how atoms form, how stars die, but none of that tells you why you exist. You can study the universe your whole life and still miss the point if you don't look inward. And Islam's foundation is that balance between inte, lect and faith, between the seen and the unseen. Even the daily practices are built around balance. You pray, you work, you eat, you love, but you remember. That's a huge part of it, remembrance, dhikr as they call it, just remembering God. It's such a simple thing, but it changes your state of mind. You become present, grateful, calm. It's also beautiful how Islam doesn't reject science or reason. In fact, it encourages it. The Quran literally tells people to reflect, to ponder, to observe creation. That's how early Muslims made insane advancements in math, medicine, astronomy, architecture. They saw knowledge as worship. That's a very different mentality from the religion versus science narrative we're used to in the West. And then there's the community aspect, the ummah, that sense of belonging. You walk into a mosque anywhere in the world, could be New York, could be Nigeria, and you'll be greeted like family. Rich, poor, black, white, Arab, Asian. You all stand shoulder to shoulder, no hierarchy, no VIP section, just unity. That's something our modern culture has lost. We've replaced connection with comparison. Social media makes you feel like everyone's living a better life than you. But in Islam, when you pray together, all that melts away. You're reminded that in front of God, we're all equal. That's another thing that fascinates me, how Islam removes the illusion of separation. It reminds you that every human being is part of the same creation. That's why charity is so emphasized. That's why humility is key. Because if you think you're better than someone else, you've already failed the test. And maybe that's what people are craving most, humility. In a world obsessed with being seen, Islam is about being sincere. You don't do things for clout. You do them for God. You don't need validation. That's why when someone converts, it's not about announcing it to the world. It's about finding peace in private. You know, when you really think about it, it's kind of poetic. The more the world speeds up, technology, social media, AI, constant noise, the more people are being pulled towards something ancient, slow, and still. It's like the soul has a natural gravity back toward truth. And Islam seems to be that anchor for a lot of people right now. It's not about perfection, either. Every Muslim I've talked to says it's a journey. You make mistakes, you learn, you come back. But that's the beauty. The door is always open. No matter what you've done, forgiveness is right there if you're sincere. That's one of the most powerful ideas in any religion, that no one is beyond redemption. So when I see more and more people, especially those at the top of their fields, embracing Islam, it doesn't surprise me anymore, because they've tasted everything the world has to offer, and they're realizing that the one thing that truly satisfies isn't material. It's spiritual. It's peace. And peace doesn't come from having more. It comes from knowing who you are and who you serve. At the end of the day, that's what I think this whole thing is about. Human beings trying to remember something they've forgotten, the source, the meaning, the connection. And maybe that's why so many people are finding it in Islam, because it doesn't ask you to escape the world. It teaches you how to live in the world with purpose, with gratitude, with peace. And once you taste that kind of peace, you can't unsee it.